The Dukes of Hazzard was a classic comedy action series that followed the crazy antics of Bo and Luke Duke, two cousins in rural Georgia, on probation for running moonshine. Along with some local friends, their Uncle Jesse and cousin Daisy, they get in trouble with the law and are generally spending time trying to solve local problems while staying ahead of law enforcement. It was a fun, hilarious, and campy take on Southern living, with an emphasis on cars and car chases. And like any great and long-running show, it had its share of bloopers and behind-the-scenes intrigue. So stay tuned as Facts First dives into the bloopers and BTS action on the Dukes of Hazzard. The Probation Issue. In the 5th season, Bo and Luke were suddenly not on the show. The real reason was that Tom Wopat and John Schneider were in contract disputes with the show. But one blooper that was noticed after they left was that they reportedly went off to compete on the NASCAR circuit. It was a convenient way for the writers to combine the fact that the actors were in a lawsuit with Warner Brothers with the fact that the characters were great drivers. The only problem, they were on probation for moonshine running. So while they would have easily been able to compete in any NASCAR races at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, they definitely wouldn't have been allowed to go race out of state. Of course, the workaround here is that the Duke boys were never ones to exactly listen to the law. What's in a name? Throughout the series, Sheriff Coltrane's first name received some variety when it came to how it was spelled. Whenever we saw it on screen, it was written either with an E at the end or without. The correct spelling of Rosco was R-O-S-C-O without an E, but often you'd see it written as R-O-S-C-O-E. It's possible this was just a case of people being a little lazy in the art department or in the script department, or maybe the creatives at the show were just having a little fun and assumed no one would notice. It's also possible they were making a point about the literacy rates of the Deep South, especially rural areas in that era. Daisy Dukes, Daisy Dukes. The time clearly it was the right call. Sorrel Book was very different. Sorrel Book did an amazing job portraying the show's villain, Boss Hogg. Hogg was a bit of an idiot, a glutton, and generally a pretty easy antagonist for the Duke boys to constantly beat, and Book was incredibly convincing in the role. So you might think he was, at least in some ways, similar to his character. But in reality, he couldn't have been more different from Boss Hogg. Book was an Ivy League grad who spoke several languages. He also served in the Army and was part of a top-notch military intelligence unit. He wasn't even as rotund as Hogg was and had to wear a fat suit for the role. The Dixie Horn. One of the trademarks of the show was that when you pressed on the horn in the General Lee, it played a quick version of the Southern anthem Dixie. But this was actually just a happy accident and wasn't written into the show. The creators of the show knew they wanted something to play when the horn was pressed, but they didn't know what. One day, as they strolled down an Atlanta street, they heard a nearby car with the custom Dixie honk. They quickly hustled over before he could drive away and on the spot offered the owner a big chunk of change in exchange for the horn. And the rest is history. Now it's time to hear from you. Who was your favorite character on the Dukes of Hazzard? Let us know in the comments section below.